Hey, welcome to another great episode of the Real Deal podcast. I'm your host, as always, Courtney Harden. Happy Friday, happy draft weekend, all those things. I got a great friend coming back on the show, so let's get it. All right, welcome to another great episode again of The Real Deal. I'm your host, as always, Courtney Harden. Like I said before, happy draft day, happy Friday for the weekend. We are doing another first round reaction to the draft, and I had to bring in one of my good friends in this industry and even outside of the industry as well. So I'm going to be bringing her in a couple of minutes. But before we get started, you can find the show on all the podcast platforms, whether it's Spotify, Apple, YouTube. We're on Roku channel, BS3 TV network on the Roku channel as well. You can follow me on all the social platforms, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky, TikTok, and all those things. So let me bring in my good friend, Sam Holt, to the show. Matthew Berry's Fantasy Life, fantasy football analyst, illustrator, just a little everything. So again, Pittsburgh Steelers fan and everything. So Sam, welcome back to the show. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me on, Courtney. I really appreciate it. Such a lovely intro. Yes, I
Thank you.
do too many things and I'm insanely busy, but I love it. Apparently, I just hate being bored, so I
Yeah,
just keep doing
right.
stuff.
Yes, keep doing stuff, keeping you busy, and like I said, not just like I said, I always tell you, all the things you do, fantasy football and all that, but just we've met each other a couple of times and known each other for a few years now, so it's always a pleasure talking with you, football, outside of football, all those things. So I appreciate the time that you given me each and every time. So I really appreciate that.
Of course.
Yeah. So how's everything going with you? I know we were talking a little bit off camera. And you said, well, the Steelers didn't do this. And they didn't get a date. We don't
I
have a
know.
quarterback. And we were talking
I'm
about that.
terrible.
But no, but it's all good. And like you said, we're so entrenched in our teams and what we like and fantasy football teams and all that. So, but outside of that, we'll get into the draft. But how's everything else going with you?
Everything else is going good. It's a good time of year where you can kind of map out what you want the next season to look like, but then there's also
Yeah.
just a lot of like exciting irons in the fire right now of just things that I'm
Hmm.
working towards and things that hopefully come to fruition the way I want them to. Some stuff that, obviously I feel like I jump on here. I'm like, there's stuff I can't talk about. And that's like usually ends up being the thing this time of year. But
Yeah.
hopefully if all things go well, that I could have some really fun projects coming up this season. So I'm looking forward to it.
I always look forward to the projects you got coming up and the surprises and sometimes like you said, the times you come on, it's like I got a lot of things going on, but I can't really announce it. But then other times too, sometimes you just announce it, or you tell me, or you tell the world, I should say, what you're working on, and then it's like, oh, Sam's here and doing this, and then they're somewhere else. So yeah, it's I get it, I totally get it. Sometimes I people always ask, who's your next guest? Who's your next guest? I'm like, well, I'm working on that. So just gotta, I gotta just, I can't tell you if I'm working on something or, so yes, I totally get that. But I'm glad that you're staying busy and working and everything too, because things can get a little hectic when it comes to sports and media and everything and fancy football and all that. So it's good that you're staying busy.
Oh no, absolutely. I'm nothing if not busy, and always trying to do something fun. Of
Yeah,
course,
it's always fun. Yeah, that's what it's about, having fun and doing other things. That's all about having fun. So, but like I said, glad to get you on. And yeah, let's talk about this. Got the draft, and we'll start with your Steelers. Let's start with them. And
let's.
yes, and which was interesting because when I was scheduling my NFL draft week, I wanted to have you on. Regardless of whatever the Steelers did or not, I was going to talk about their quarterback situation, and so I was going to ask, okay, so Steelers did not take Shador, and they did not get a quarterback in general in the first round. But are you on the train of waiting for Aaron Rodgers, or did you want somebody like a Shador Sanders would have fell, which he could have? He did not get drafted. But what's your take on their on the Steelers quarterback situation?
Well, just from my personal life, I don't like waiting on a man. So I don't really want my team to be waiting on a man either. Um, there's been a lot of I have to tie it back somehow.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
you know, it affects my everyday life.
That's
Um,
funny. That is, I wasn't expecting that. That's real funny.
but I've heard a lot of different conflicting reports in terms of what Aaron Rodgers is doing and what people are expecting. Apparently, there was a window. That window closed in terms
Hmm.
of like the Steelers said we want to know a decision by then, and he didn't meet that deadline, so we're pivoting, which to me means that the organization must have enough confidence in the remaining quarterbacks available that they feel like they can create some sort of level healthy set competition based
Hmm.
on Mason Rudolph and Skylar Thompson, which just saying that just like
Hmm.
it doesn't
Yeah,
sound
yeah.
good. It doesn't feel good.
Right.
I can understand some of the concerns with Shador Standards, but at the same time, what I was really getting excited about, because you have to begin to get excited about some players when you hear some talk, and
Yeah.
I kept hearing a lot of this Shador Sanders to the Steelers, and I was like, okay, well, why do I want to be excited? And one of the things that jumps off the page about him is his accuracy. And when you look
Yeah.
at players like Pickens and Metcalf that can make catches out of anything, it really helps kind of bridge the gap in terms of a rookie quarterback that has decent accuracy as well as having explosive playmakers with amazing athleticism. I've also heard rumors that their Steelers are shopping to trade George Pickens. So if they're going to do that and then try and maybe get into the second round to get Shador at a discount, I could understand that. But
Yeah.
they must also just see some things in the players left available that is just jumping off the page for them more than what we all thought with Shador Sanders. Obviously, we've got Jalen Monroe, Tyler Slough. Shador could still end up being there. We don't have a second round pick. We have a third round pick, but maybe. I've also heard different things that the Steelers plan on leaving this draft with two quarterbacks, which taking them later definitely makes sense with that. And if you're going to do
Hmm.
that, then you obviously want to get an ace with other needs. And defensive tackle was a need that we had. Obviously, Cam Hayward coming to his last year of his contract. Is a very big hole to fill, and a
Yeah.
player like Derek Harmon is amazing for that. So I like the pick, and I feel bad for him because it's one of those picks that
Mm.
you wonder if this is going to be one of those picks where everyone is booing and everyone is upset, but
Yeah.
then cut to this time next year, even 2 years from now, and we're singing these praises of this player that could end up being just, like a TJ Watt, like a JJ Watt. Like, how much
Right.
were those players? I mean, I think TJ we were all very excited about because we knew what we were getting out of him, his work ethic, having seen his brother. But how upset was Houston fans when they heard they got JJ Watt and everyone was up in
Right.
arms? And then later you could basically rename the city after him. Like, it was just such an amazing fit. So I feel like I don't want to completely knock Derek for being picked where he was. You can't fault the player. This is the strategy
Yeah.
of the team, and you have to trust the team. And I think this, because we see such a glaring need, and obviously we need someone to throw the freaking ball, and it's just not going to be Mason Rudolph. We just need to know what our answer is. And again, I don't like waiting on a man, and I don't feel like it's going to be Rodgers. I do hear a lot of things about maybe there's going to be a trade today between, I think it's like a 3-team trade that they're shopping
Mm.
around, Vikings, Steelers, and I forget the third team, with in regards to Kirk Cousins. So again, I don't feel like another aged quarterback
Yeah.
coming off of an injury that looks stiff as a board is going to make sense in a division that's as dynamic and athletic as our counterparts. Kills
Yep.
me that like we don't have a mobile quarterback, and that's the other reason why I want us to have that.
Yeah.
So hopefully it's hopefully it's Jalen Milroe today, and we can just rest easy, and then we'll end up probably picking up another quarterback in like the fourth, the fifth, or the sixth.
Yeah, agreed. And you're right. I think it's unfair, like you said, the first round pick that's going to be compared to the Steelers could have used Shador at that moment, especially when the Saints passed on him, and we thought, okay, there's no other team that really needs a quarterback unless the team moved up from the bottom, or needed to, like the Giants moved back. They moved in back into the first round with another first round pick, and they didn't go Shador either. And then, you said the Steelers just, it's like, okay, they're gonna get him. They're gonna end up getting when they're gonna get him. But they were the only team that needed a quarterback at the time, during that time. So it was just like, and I said, I was just telling, I was saying to myself when I was watching, I was like, I don't know if the Steelers are even gonna, because there was already rumors that they weren't going to go that route either. But we've already seen, we already seen the Mason Rudolph, what he's not capable of doing or anything else either. So yeah, it's a situation where you're right. They could still get a QB or two later in this draft. So then that will solve. Well, at least that will alleviate a little bit. I wouldn't say solve the problem, but it would
No.
alleviate some of the problem.
Yeah, we have several needs across the boards of players that would be obviously very helpful. But I think it's
Mhm.
just that the quarterback position is so glaring, and
Yeah.
it's almost to me, and maybe I'm just taking it personal, that it's a little bit of salt in the wound that the Giants now have four quarterbacks that
Right.
have one have had seen playing time in the NFL or are exciting enough that if they had to be counted on, you wouldn't be upset throwing them in with
Yeah.
Dart.
Yeah.
And that's the difference. There's nothing exciting or like tried and true or we can hang our hat on with regards to what we currently have on our depth chart. So that's
Yeah.
upsetting to me.
For sure, for sure. And a couple comments here's Nathan Ramasandra. If it comes up, nope, it's not showing the comment for some reason. Anyway, he just says, "Sam, you're the best."
Oh, thanks.
There it is. There it is. It was a little slow there, but he was like, "Do you think?" And I second that and third that as well. Sam is the best. Do you think it's the Cleveland Browns or the Steelers for Sanders? So we kind of Cleveland has two high picks in the second round, and they got 33 and 36. Uh, I think they might. I think they will use one of those picks unless a team jumps them and get ahead or trade with them. But I think it's going to be Cleveland's going to. I think he's not going to go further than that 36 pick.
I don't know. I don't know that they need to pull someone like Sanders
Mm,
right now as they're sitting. I mean, obviously, we don't think that we're likely going to see Watson this season just based on the condition of the
right.
injury.
Yep.
They have Joe Flacco, who they've had massive success with in the not
Yeah.
so, recent past. And Kenny Pickett, I'm not going to say anything about Kenny Pickett. I was happy when he was with the Steelers. Did I want him to develop further? Yes. But he's also just been with the Eagles organization and seen what it takes to see a Super Bowl win from a
Yeah.
team from a different end. So I feel like there's a lot of knowledge that you gain from going
True.
through a season like that and going through with playmakers like that. So I do feel like they're kind of set with guys that are ready to go now.
Mm,
They could wait and take a younger quarterback, someone that is not top of the list like Sanders. They could probably end up going even later. I feel like there's a lot of other needs that they have to meet in terms of what they're going to do next. They obviously need to, if they can address a running back position here, that would be an amazing move for them. They're really set with Njoku, but they like to run multiple different sets, multiple different options. They could go tight end. They could
yep.
end up with another receiver late, though this isn't a very exciting receiver class. There's still plenty of defensive positions that need to be shorn up. Obviously, they just spent all that they did to keep Myles Garrett, but in order to balance out that defense, they're going to need some youth in there at multiple positions to balance it out. So I feel like it's one, as a Steelers fan, it's scary to see them have that many picks. I'm not going to lie. I don't like it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But second, just like us, we're a very grinded out team
Yeah. Yeah.
that goes through so much that we need depth to get through the season where we're battling each other. So I
Yeah.
feel like they're going to address several additional defensive positions, probably even some guard positions as well. I just feel like they can't afford to not get top of the class from every position as they have those picks. Again, because they have the veteran that is Joe Flacco, and then you have Kenny Pickett again, who has the youth but also has a certain level of, veteran prowess, and who's going to work, I think, and pair nicely off of Flacco. I think the two of them have some similarities in
Yeah.
how I could see Flacco teaching and Pickett growing with him under center as well. So that's why I don't think it's going to be Sanders there. I feel like it's most likely that he's going to end up to the Saints with anyone,
Oh man.
which I mean, they absolutely need it. But I selfishly hope that we trade into the second we just take Sanders so
To
that
get into
I just
something.
want
Yeah.
peace of mind. I will feel
Yeah.
better so that when amazing people like yourself say, Sam, how are you doing? My first answer isn't like, we didn't get a quarterback yet. And it's like, okay, but how are you doing? And I'm like, I just told you my answer. Like,
Right,
that's,
right. You
I
want a piece
need
of
this to
mind.
be solved.
Yeah.
I need peace of mind. I need to be able to sleep at night. And I did not sleep last night. So I need it now.
You're like, I need this. I need to know what is going on. I need that
Yes.
peace of mind and everything too. And speaking of the Steelers and any other needs, you said, like you said, the DK Metcalf still got Pickens. They need a quarterback. Like I said, need a quarterback to be able to throw the football and get him the football.
Yeah.
But any other needs you want the Steelers to address?
We definitely need a corner. We need a running
Yeah,
back as well. This is an amazing running back class. We still have several players out there that are available that I'd be excited about having any of them. Travion Henderson is exciting. Caleb Johnson's exciting. We obviously no longer have Najee Harris, and Jalen Warren is great, but he can only run downhill like a bowling ball so many times
yeah,
before you need to hand off the ball to somebody else. So as long as we can get someone else in there that's dynamic, I'll be really excited. So hopefully we address running back position in pretty early because again, there's so many people that also need running backs, and having seen the season that we just did, I think that there's a certain level of value going into that position that's feels a little different this year for the league than it has in years past. Just big thanks to Saquon Barkley, obviously proving everybody wrong and helping the Eagles win a championship, and I think it's done a lot for the position as a whole. So
yeah,
again, I really want us to get a running back. I'm not upset with the defensive tackle pick that we made at one. When you look at best available on the board, he absolutely was. So really
yeah,
happy with that one. But besides that, we said quarterback, corner, running back. Could go. We could go with another offensive position as well in terms of guard up front, gets us more protection. There's a lot of needs, and I feel like because of certain players that are aging out for the Steelers, we need to make sure that we're addressing them properly.
yeah. I think I think that's the main point now with teams. They with players aging out at a lot of positions, and you look at the draft. Like you said, you're not gonna build your team all through the draft or anything like that. You can get pieces of needs but it's still a balance. And like I said, you want to those players that are aging out, you want to make sure you have enough uh players at the youth to really say, okay, they're gonna get some experience, they're gonna step in, and they will help you out. So I agree with that. And I agree with the needs you said. Um, Quarterback, besides quarterback, running back, and corner, especially were some of the needs I was reading on with the Steelers. So hopefully you can get a couple of guys that can fit, and you get your
Hopefully.
quarterback for your peace of mind, for your own sanity and peace of mind. and,
For all of
and
Steelers Nation, we need it. We just need
yeah,
to
yeah,
know who our guy is. And
yeah,
what I love about Steelers Nation is we will absolutely like uplift and be like behind. Like, we just need to know our guy. We
yeah.
just need it.
Just need to know
I
for
think
sure.
one of my favorite takes yesterday was I saw Ryan Clark post his reaction to the pick,
I saw
and
that.
I reposted it. I was just like, he is all of us. Where it's just
Yeah,
like,
he feels what you felt.
just we need it. Who is our guy? Who's our guy?
Yeah.
He's like, you telling me that Mason Rudolph? You're telling me? I'm like, no.
Yeah, you would think, like you said, heading into at least the draft or even after, you want to feel good that you at least have a quarterback. And look, there's only a few teams that need a QB, really, and that's the Saints and the Steelers. And it's like they're not happy with the situation. So you said the Giants got four; they'll end up with three, but by training camp or after, I don't think they're going to have all four. So it's really very strange that those two teams just kind of passed on. But then again, maybe they just think there's more value at the you said later in the draft with some of the quarterbacks you just named. There's just maybe a little bit more value there than spend a high pick on a QB. So especially with this class, for
Yeah.
sure.
I feel
You
like we're
know.
playing chicken with the Saints a little bit, and I just don't want to be the chicken.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You don't want to be that chicken. You don't
No.
want to be the chicken. No, no. Yeah,
I don't
they
want to
are.
get got. I
No, yeah,
because again, that's another team that has so many needs, and if you're
yeah,
looking at the way that this draft is, and with QB hungry teams and us being top ones of that list, we can go back and forth on who's best available on the board and just checking things off until we say go and one of us
yeah.
goes, and
Does it.
then you
Yep.
just see the rest of them probably go within the next couple
Yeah,
picks.
yeah. Yep, and you're like, you don't want to be that chicken. You definitely don't want to
No,
be. You want to make sure, okay, when you say go, we're gonna get the guy that we want to get. So let's
exactly.
talk a little bit more about the top half, or at least some a little bit about the top half of the draft. Any surprises for you, or were you surprised that Jacksonville actually moved from fifth to second to go get Travis Hunter? Because I think Cam Ward, he was the consensus number one
Yeah.
once we knew, but the draft really started with that trade. When I saw that, I was like, oh, okay, Jacksonville just moved up, and now they got Travis Hunter. But any surprises for you?
I feel like one, we wanted to start off the draft with a bang, and a trade like that is always exciting. And then I feel
Yeah.
like it wasn't surprising that it was Travis Hunter. It was just going to be
Who? Yeah.
who went to get him,
Yeah.
and Jacksonville went to go get him. And I think he's going to be a great fit there. Obviously, needs something to spark that offense even more and try to ignite. Trevor Lawrence, and I think that a player like Travis Hunter is so generational and going to help on both sides of the ball. I'm really curious to see what the percentage split between his
Me
time on
too.
offense and defense
Hmm.
is going to be. I think that's the main thing we're all curious about, especially because going from college to the NFL obviously is such a big step up.
Yeah.
And I can imagine that there's going to be a certain level of preservation with him as well,
Yeah.
because when he's going to be playing at either position, there's a certain amount of risk that as a team and organization you have to understand you're taking by putting him on either side of the field. I feel like it could be, predominantly offense to just get I mean, no pun intended, but get the ball rolling for
Yeah.
the Jags. We've oh sorry, my cat's in the way.
He always makes an appearance. So.
He's the worst. He's the worst cat ever. Um, but I think that that's going to be a really fun ad. I was really happy to see Ashton Genty go to the Raiders. Obviously,
Me
love
too.
to see an amazing running back go to what's likely going to be a very dynamic offense on that front. So for fantasy purposes, it's just like, slot him in the first round for drafts.
Yeah.
It just depends on where he ends up falling. But I think it's such a favorable fit for him that for me, fantasy wise, that's probably one of the more exciting ones that I saw.
Yep.
But yeah, and then yeah, I think Cam Ward obviously exciting. I think it's really funny how little he was talked about being the number one overall pick. It
Yeah.
was just kind of like accepted, and then everyone else cared about talking about everyone else,
Yes. I saw that too. I felt that way too.
which
Same thing.
hasn't
Yeah.
really necessarily been the case in years past. Of is it going to be this quarterback or this running back going first? Who's it going to be first?
Yep.
And there was no question. It was just like, well, yeah, no, it's Cam Ward. And now let's talk about something else. I wonder how that must have seemed like for his camp as well as like, so you guys don't even want to, they're like, no, you're going number one. We're fine. It's like,
Yeah. Yeah. We're
okay.
good. Yeah. Yeah. And it was
But
like, not to cut you off, but it was even during the broadcast, I was watching on ESPN, and they were talking, like they said, yeah, Cam Ward, okay, we're good. Like he did his entrance, he came in. I don't even think they even interviewed him either. And then it was like, oh, there's a trade, Jacksonville, breaking news. And then here come Adam Schefter,
just move along.
breaking news. Yeah, yeah. It was like they still had 10 minutes. Like you could still talk about Cam Ward and his ability. Now they talked about him before he got traded. Like they already knew, like, okay, or before he got drafted, he's number one. And then they just he got his hat and and came up on the stage, hugged Roger Goodell, took the picture. And next thing you know, we're like, oh, Jacksonville's on the clock. Here's the trade. We're like, wait, they're not gonna talk about Cam Ward's the number one pick. They still
Nope.
still be talking about him. Yeah. I
Like
found that interesting.
probably the most under talked about first
Yeah,
round pick
yes,
that we've had in a
yeah.
long time.
Right.
And I think that that's one, really sad, but two,
Yes.
just also means that nobody wants to talk about the Titans, I think is a bigger underline
Could
that
be. Yes, that could be it.
and yeah, they've got a lot of work they need to do in terms of getting everything back together there. But yeah, I felt really kind of underwhelmed and bad for Cam Ward in that way. Like it was like, okay, like, but now we need to get to other people. Don't worry about you. And just like, is that really the thing? Like the Titans did go and make a move, and they went and got Tyler Lockett, so they knew that they were going to be getting some
Yeah.
weapons for him. But
Yep.
nobody even really wanted to talk about that. Like obviously there's some pieces there. You still have Calvin Ridley, though he's, on the twilight of his career. But you've got Tyler Lockett, again, another veteran receiver. So you've got some really sure thing, smart wideouts for Cam going into it, which I think is really nice. But that's another team that, you could say we need to talk about maybe drafting a running back as well, because
Yeah.
Tony Pollard's there, but it's Tony Pollard. And it's just I'm
Yeah.
excited.
How many? Yeah. How much is he gonna play? Is
How
he
much is going
gonna?
to
Yeah.
play? And
Yeah. The
yeah,
injury history. Yep. Yep.
exactly. I mean, when you talk about running backs that aren't sexy, but you draft them anyways, it's really like, James Conner is one of those, but you leave the draft and you're like, yeah, but I got James Conner. So it's like, okay, I've got like a sure thing in certain ways. But if you left the draft like, well, I got Tony Pollard, why did I go zero RB? Like that's kind of the
Yeah.
question
Yeah.
that you
Yeah.
end up
Yeah.
asking yourself if you end up in that situation. So I am excited to see what they do with the rest of their picks, the Titans,
Yeah.
just because obviously they've got such a great pick in Cam out the gate, and obviously. Like I just said, with the veteran receivers that they already have, it's going to be really good education for him right up front.
Yep.
But I don't know. It's just yeah, I'm
Yeah.
excited for you, Cam.
Yeah. Me too. I am too.
Titans fans are excited for you too. I'm
Yeah.
not a
Yeah.
Titans fan, but I'm sure they are.
Yeah, yeah, I'm sure they're excited. They might they had to get another quarterback, another franchise guy that they're good that they're have to hopefully they have to get better. They just do because they've been pretty bad over the last years or so. So we'll see if it pans out for him. I hope so. I'm rooting for Cam Ward just because he didn't get the covers like we thought he should. He definitely should have been number one pick
Yeah.
overall. So got a question in the chat. I do like the Genty going to the Vegas Raiders and with Pete Carroll and what we know he loves running the football. And they got Geno Smith. So yeah, I thought that was a great fit. But were you surprised that the Bears went Loveland over Warren in the tight end position?
Yeah, I was a little bit surprised there. I think we kind of all thought that the Bears would go tight end.
Yeah,
But there's kind of a decent mix of tight ends in this draft too.
there
So it kind
is.
of felt
Yeah,
like a little bit of a reach, just compared to the talent that Warren offers. But am I surprised at anything that the Bears do?
no,
No, not
not at
really.
all.
Bears gonna
Yeah.
bear
Yeah,
down.
Bears are Bears. Yeah, they're gonna bear down and bear. That's what they do.
Yeah,
Yep. So not surprised at all. I know they. I mean, it's a weapon for Caleb, but it's just one of those things like the talent. I just think Warren could have been the pick, but I'm not surprised either. So other than that, I think the draft was like there was a lot of defensive tackles and DNs that went,
a
and
lot of edge.
a lot of edge rushers. I feel like that was the main thing of the first round, really the reaction of it, and again, Shador was. I knew that was going to be discussed because of how dynamic of a guy he is, a player that he is, and Deion Sanders' son, and so they talked about that. I started getting like, okay, I knew this was going to happen, especially if he didn't get drafted, and here we are.
Here we are.
So here we are. So, but other than that, I think that's mostly the draft. I'm looking forward to see what happens today and tomorrow on that draft. But I want to before I let you go, because I know we're gonna do a 30 minutes, which is fine. We know which is fine. It's and but you did a Spartan race just recently again. Is
I
this
did.
yeah? Talk about that. I'm gonna talk about a little bit of that. Now you've done Spartan races before, right? Or is this your
Yeah, no,
yeah,
I've done one before. This
yeah,
one was a 10K. The first one I did was a
10K, yeah,
5K.
okay.
I don't know. I just sometimes I get this itch for something to spark me with my physical fitness and with athletics, just so that I kind of stay on my game in terms of feeling good all year round.
Yeah,
And why I got to go and do something like a Spartan race, I don't know. I got it in my head and I just needed to do it. And for whatever reason, I decided to sign up and do another one. So
yeah,
I'm gonna do another one in November, which will be really fun. But I'm also just kind of one of those people that I don't know. If something sounds slightly fun, I just want to do it.
just undo
So
it. You just go out and do it.
I
What I've
just
known you
have
for over the last 3-4 years, I know that you said, hey, I just do it. Like if it's something, even if I don't, it's nothing I've done before or whatever, I'm just gonna go and do it and
it,
everything.
literally if it sounds like it could be slightly fun, I'm like, yeah, I'm down. Like I'll do
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah. Right. And I've watched Spartan. I'm a big fan of that Spartan and DECA and High Rocks and CrossFit and all those things. Me and my wife love. We eat that up. That stuff. It's exciting. Fitness and all that. It's great. And watching it, and I saw that you were doing the Spartan race. I was like, okay, the 10K that makes sense. It makes sense. So, but no,
Definitely
it's
makes
it's
sense.
it's cool. No, it's good that to see that and watching it on like YouTube it's great. And me and my wife was just talking about this. We were just saying that, hey, we should do something like together, something like that. I was like, yeah, I just want to just get in there and see where I'm at. I mean, I would of course try to get better and better, a little bit better shape, and get my cardio up a little bit more, because I know it's a race and you do all the obstacles. How many obstacles was that that you had to do?
It was 25.
25. Okay, because I know they range with
Yeah.
Spartans. Sometimes they get 60 or 50, and then others is 20 something. So yeah, and
Yeah,
then the running.
they can be a lot. So yeah, this was 10K, 25 obstacles. I think I completed 17 obstacles.
Oh, still great.
Um,
Yeah.
Still decent for me. There was some that I was just looked at and I was like, yeah, I'm not doing that. Which is fine. And
Some
it's
of those
usually
obstacles
like,
are like,
not doing that.
no, no.
Yeah, and then the way this one was run, it's usually like you do like a penalty for not completing an obstacle. So sometimes you do 30 burpees, or this
Yeah.
case there was a lot of these like penalty laps just because of
Yeah. Yes.
the trail that we were running. It was a very narrow, tight trail. I don't think that they had enough area for people to just stop and do burpees, which I think was smart. But then it ended up feeling like instead of doing a 10K, it really felt more like a 12K, because I just did so many extra laps with the things that I couldn't do. But it was a
Yeah.
lot of
Like,
fun.
yeah, the penalty, like I know they have the arrow throw. If you miss, you have to do 30 burpees.
Yeah.
And before they had stopped, I remember at one point they said, well, we're not gonna do the burpees, just a penalty lap. But if you miss something, or if you fall off the monkey bars or something, you got to do more burpees or another lap. So yeah, it's
Yeah.
that the 30 burpees, ooh, especially if you're in the lead, ooh, sometimes mostly a lot of people miss that dart throw,
Yeah.
and yeah, so it's like spear throw, I should say, and it's like, oh, yeah,
Yeah, the trick with the spear throw too is like because it's all on a rope too, is like getting enough
yeah,
slack on the
yes,
rope that it doesn't just get caught on your hand, and that's usually
hmm
what ends up getting people on that one, which is kind of funny. But yeah, you have to finish each obstacle, and yes, for like things like the monkey bars, or there's like a twister one which like kind of like
yep,
rotates around as you're
hmm
going, and there's like these
yeah,
rings, and you have to hit the bell at the end.
yeah, yeah,
And if you don't hit that bell, it doesn't make it noise, and and
yeah.
some
They
and
say,
specific ones you can't kick the bell, like you have to hit it with your hand. So
right. Because some people used to do that. They used to use their feet. They'll get up
yeah.
there and like use, because they're using their momentum on the bar, and they're trying to use their feet. And it's like, no, you got to, hit it with your hand and everything too. You got the warp wall. I mean, yes, a big fan.
Oh yeah,
So
that's super
I
fun.
love watching it. But I'm glad that you got to do that. I saw that. I was like, okay, go ahead, Sam, do your thing on that,
Thank
the
you.
the 10K Spartan race. So all right, well, that is a wrap. Thank you again. Really, always love catching up with you. And um, if what can you let me ask you the last one? What can you announce that, or what are you looking forward to on this upcoming? That would be a good question. What are you looking forward to on this upcoming fantasy football season? Which me and you've been doing this for many years.
Yes. Well, I can say I'm very excited about the Scott Fishbowl draft coming up. I'm going to be
Mm.
doing the live draft in Vegas this year, so
Oh, okay.
super excited.
Yeah,
A bunch of the crew and I are all doing the Vegas draft, so that'll be
that's
a lot of
great.
fun.
Yeah.
And we're drafting at 10 a.m. at Circa, so that'll be a lot of fun. I think that's going to be great. Mid-June, it's going to be perfect summertime vibes in
Yeah.
Vegas. So really looking forward to that.
Yep.
I've also started joining the guys over on the Unbinged podcast, which has been a lot of fun.
I
And
saw you down there. Yeah.
it's not fantasy. We're just talking about TV shows and movies. So I'm
Mm.
on with them talking about Last of Us. So if anyone's watching
Okay.
Last of Us and is religious about watching it every Sunday and wants to hear our takes on the episode after, we record them on Mondays and gets posted that day. And it's just so much fun talking with them
Yeah.
about this show, which I don't know if you watch Last of Us, but this past week's episode was epic in
Okay.
every sense. It was probably the best episode of TV I think I've ever watched.
Mm.
It
Yeah, I
was
heard
so
Last of Us is
crazy.
really good. I haven't watched it, but I heard it's a very good show. Yeah, because there's not much good TV shows, even
Yeah.
on Netflix or anything. I mean, there's so many different platforms. Like, you got all these things. Like, I can't find anything to watch, and there's so much to watch
Yeah. No. Last
on
of
it.
Us is the one. You got to get on it.
Okay.
It's
All
really
right. I'll
good.
definitely have to get on it. Okay. If you recommend it, I gotta definitely check that out. But yeah, I'm trying to think of any shows that watching the FBI's Law and Order, things like that. But
Sure.
you get kind of like, you get tired of those in a way. And now the summer's coming up, there's nothing on. So I have to watch a little bit, something on Amazon Prime or something like that. So I'm looking forward. So Last of Us, maybe we'll give that a try. So
There you go.
yeah. All right. Well, Sam, thank you again. Really appreciate it. You can follow Sam on all the platforms, Twitter, Instagram. Are you on Blue Sky too, or?
Yeah, I'm on Blue Sky. So on Blue Sky and Twitter, I'm at Samantha R. Holt. And then over on Instagram, I'm at Sam_awesome.
All right, I'm gonna follow you on Blue Sky. I just got on maybe a few weeks ago, so I'm trying to.
I always forget to post there. I just
Me
need to.
too. Me
It's a
too.
habit
I
I need to
do.
get better
Yes.
at.
Yeah. Because I know there's great conversations over there too, on Blue Sky. So, but yeah, follow Sam on all those things and follow her journey. Continue to follow her journey in the fantasy football space. The Matthew Berry Fantasy Life and all other things too. So, Sam, thank you again for your time, and I appreciate you all as always. And we'll do this again very soon.
Sounds good. Thanks, Courtney, for having me.
All right. Thank you. Have a good one.